namaste, everyone. Welcome to the Tanya Love Show. I first of all just feel like we all are kind of feeling a lot of stuff on this planet today, and just want to send some love waves and frequencies to all the people across the planet that are going through a lot of challenges, including Paris and Syrians and Kenya, and there's all kinds of energy shifts going on suddenly, which we've kind of been getting warnings from. Like my guides were bringing that in, and my angels were bringing that in to just be very anchored in the love frequencies and to allow the light to move through us and to just anchor it into the new grids. And it's interesting because one of the things I'm observing is so many people, getting triggered into fear, but I'm also seeing a lot of you that are really remembering not to feed the fear. And I just want to send love and gratitude and appreciation to all of you that are remembering this and that are understanding how important that is. Um, of course, I feel like anytime something terrible happens and lives are taken, that is definitely not cool. And, we're going to have to address that. But I just feel like we all have to go to this place where we're really connecting to our heart space and not just reacting in fear, which is kind of our conditioned behavior, is just to reactively, want to respond with fear and anger. And I'm going to read a quote by a famous guy that you guys might remember named Martin Luther King Jr. And he said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only love can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." And I feel like, in essence, that is truth. And there's been a lot of amazing, aware beings that have walked this planet that have spoken the same messages and often been kind of taken out of the game for challenging the system. And I just feel like I want to read a little something from you, which is interesting because this woman, I actually first met Amnon because of this whole connection with her. Her name's Lisa Brown, and she was doing a show way back, like maybe a year and a half ago. And I felt intuitively guided to get on that live show, and Julie was interviewing her. And I just remember interacting in the live chat a lot. And then Julie got my contact information and she did a Skype interview with me and then wanted to interview me on her show, which led to Amnon and I meeting, which led to him saying, "Hey, Tanya, you're kind of a natural at this. Have you ever wanted your own show?" And here I am today connecting with all of you. And I just feel like it's kind of beautiful, the whole, circular way everything works. It's very beautiful spiral of energy. And I'm just going to read some of this to you because it's pretty long, but it's kind of, in essence, helping us to remember that we are beings of light and that we are consciousness first and foremost. And we're in these human, what I call meat suits, and these outfits that we wear, the human form, are to help us fulfill soul missions. And sometimes we forget this. We forget and we think we're just humans, is trapped in a human matrix of a world that we can't break free of. And we forget that we're free sovereign beings. We forget that we're light and we're consciousness. And I feel a lot of us at this time that are awakening, I look at the planet and I see it as various levels and layers, degrees of awakening. And so how do we handle something like ISIS? How do we spiritually stay in our alignment and maintain our vibrational frequency of love and compassion while also living in a world where there are, things happening in Africa that are just violent and terrible, and things happening in Paris and in Syria and all these things that are happening around the planet? How do we walk amongst them and not get triggered by them? And how do we also hold a frequency of unconditional love for everyone? And how we're going to do that is we have to remember that we are love and light and that we are consciousness. And if we can remain in that awareness of that, we can maintain our vibrational frequency of love. I can tell you from experience that nothing will cause you to waver from that. And I had this discussion, it was interesting, on Facebook. I had some guy that was going off about America needs to wake up, da da da. And I felt guided to just bring some loving messages of truth to this feed, and I just was, reminding them that it's actually humanity that is awakening. It's not just, and it has really nothing to do with America. Like this thing in Paris, I don't understand why Americans want to get triggered and get all violent. But these men were veterans, and they were very fired up and very angry and wanting to drop bombs, and just, it was all about hate and anger. And I just brought some messages of love to them. And it was interesting because one of the men totally twisted the energy around, and he projected upon me and said, Tanya, what if I was holding a gun to your face? Then how loving would you be? And at that moment, I realized, okay, this energy is really getting off, and I'm going to just send my love, and I'm going to bow out of here now because this is not my holographic reality any longer. And it was interesting because I didn't take the time to explain to this man that I've actually had a gun pointed in my face before, and that in my own experience of that, it was really all I could do was be in that present moment of like, whoa, is this really happening? And luckily, I'm still here today and I did not die. And it was when my mother was really sick and my mom kind of snapped and this whole thing went down. And I can tell you that I have never struck my mother. I have never been violent to her ever, though I have been harmed by her most of my childhood. And so, how does a soul like mine have the right to sit on the show and tell all of you that you have the power to respond with love? Because I've learned to do it and I've experienced it. And I don't say this from like a theoretical place, like, oh, this sounds like a great idea, or here's a belief system I'm going to feed you. It's really from my experience of being on this planet, surrounded by beings that have been hateful, and choosing to still hold a frequency of love regardless. That doesn't mean that it's okay to allow abuse, because if you watch any of my shows, I'm very much about standing in your power and about, making sure that we're not enabling abuse and things like that. And so I'm not saying that it's okay what anyone's doing out there. However, if we remember that we are all at various layers and levels and degrees of awakening, it can help us to have compassion for the ones that are let's look at the chakra system as a chart. So some people that are in gang mentality, tribal gang mentality of survival and greed, corruption, if you look at the chakra chart, they're at a root chakra level of their consciousness. So if you're expecting someone at a root chakra level to be aware of the oneness and compassion of the crown, that's asking a lot. However, we choose which holographic realities we connect with and that we participate in. And so there's all these different worlds on this one planet. And so when we're really honest about it and we're not looking at it as anything is real, but everything is different various levels of awakening and different layers and degrees of holographic realities that are all playing out on the same planet. It's like the planet in essence is kind of like the studio, like Universal Studios, and there's all these different movies playing. And none of them are really good or bad. And this is when we're in a spiritual aligned perspective of life, we can see that all experiences have benefit. And the people that are creating terrorism and abuse and hatred at a level in their soul contracts, they are working through their stuff. They're working through their soul contracts, their karmic attachments, their life lessons, their need to understand and learn to value life. Now, if we're in a place of a higher holographic reality of love and oneness, many souls like in that space will not want to go into those realms, and they will kind of move away from those so-called realities. But I wanted to read a little bit about what Lisa had to share because it's so spot on with what my angels and guides have been sharing with me and helping me realize that I'm not crazy at times when I just feel like the world's disappearing on me and I'm walking through a store and everything's getting wavy. Excuse me, and I'm feeling like major energy in my solar plexus, and next thing there's an earthquake happens, or this attack in Paris. And a lot of us that are very empathic and very sensitive, our solar plexus maybe has been acting up a lot. And I've had a lot of clients and Facebook friends writing to me and just talking to me about that, like, Tanya, what's going on? Like, my digestive system is just off. And it's because so many of us in our power center, we're feeling these frequencies, we're feeling these hateful and harmful energies. Now, it doesn't mean that we're participating in them, but we are feeling them, like our Yoda selves are one. And so the best thing that we can all do from a spiritual alliance viewpoint of this situation is to hold frequencies of love for all involved and for all concerned, for all life. And so if we go into a place of fear, like these men, lashing out and then being very hateful to me, which after that I just bowed out and said, wish you guys the best, and do with those messages as you will. But I'm now releasing myself from this holographic reality. And we really, we need to look in ourselves when a person is just reactively responding with hate and they want to go and harm another, someone they don't know, and they just feel justified in revenge and hatred. It's really those people that they are looking at that are getting their attention, that are being hateful, are an aspect of self. They're actually seeing a part of their own self that they don't want to acknowledge. And a lot of us, if we can use these kind of life situations powerfully and truthfully and honestly, we can shift within. And so it's so easy for us. Like, I think Dalai Lama just quoted, that it's so much more powerful when we can look at some aspect of ourself that needs to be shifted, like look at what needs to be healed within, rather than point the finger of what everyone else should be healing. There's so much more power in that, because really all of us returning to our oneness and returning to our state of alignment is going to really stem from our own levels of self-love and our own connection with our source. And I can tell when a soul has done their work, because when they're in a state of oneness and they have self-love, they are very much they're connected and they're concerned with life. They feel one with it. They have compassion for life, but they're not triggered into a state of fear and anger and hatefulness because of what others are doing. They're more in a state of observation, observing what is happening around them. And I feel like that's so important to just stay mindful of right now, because some of us, living in America or living all over the planet, wherever you're watching the show from today, you could be in a very beautiful home where it's warm and you have plenty of food and all of your needs are being taken care of. And I would encourage you to just stay in a space of gratitude for that. Stay in a space of just joy and gratitude and love, and knowing that these stories touch us of others that are going through things. Send frequencies of love, send your prayers, whatever you believe in, whatever symbol you resonate with, whether it's a prayer or a meditation, or you're just, sending healing frequencies, whatever it is, stay in that space of love and light, because that is actually how we will extinguish the darkness. We won't ever get rid of that darkness through more hate, more energy of, aggression and violence. We're going to dissolve it with our love. And we're going to do that starting with self, and we're going to do it from within. So when we see things externally that really trigger us and create anger and fear, the wisdom is to look at those things and to go within and notice what's inside that I need to see. And this is where a soul like mine that works as a shamanic healer that helps people with their shadow work, doing that shadow work is really important, so that we can clear all those traumas and all those cellular memories and pain, so that we can really be free and we can feel that flow of life force again in a very supported way, instead of feeling like, there's not enough, or someone's going to take what's mine, or, just living in that sense of fear is a very lower chakra kind of reality. But a soul that's living and has moved through those chakras, like in the workshops I'm teaching, healing through the chakras, it's literally we're healing through them. And we're coming to this space where we're awake and aware, and we're allowing source energy to flow through us and support us. And when a soul has done that work, they become a very powerful and potent energy and force on this planet. And I, from my heart's knowing, know that the most powerful energy we will ever activate within ourselves and that we will ever align with is the power of our love. And that is the most powerful force in the universe. And so if any of you are feeling scared right now, or you're feeling vulnerable, let yourself feel those emotions. It's really important. This morning I woke up and my tummy just felt all rumbly and churning like a washing machine. And I was just like, what is going on? And I just kind of meditated. I spoke with my beloved and we just kind of shared our messages, and I was processing things. And then from there, I started to have tears just flow. And I was processing all that and just allowing the energy to move through me. And I realized that I needed to grieve. It was like my body was feeling the energy of sadness and grief for so many. And so some of you, part of us when we're trained to deny the emotion, we want to just go get busy, or we get angry, or we want to control something. But if we can relax and be more connected with our yin energy today, and just maybe have a hot bath and meditate after the show, and tune in and ask, like, what's going on? Like, what do I feel about all this? And what do I need to acknowledge in myself? And you might have tears flow. You might have some feelings come up, and release them. That's healthy. But just don't lose yourself to those emotions. Like, don't forget that you are a free, sovereign being of love and light, and get hooked by the emotions and then just take off with them again. Because, in a sense, we're all getting these tests so that we will shake off all this old, heavy gravity energy of cellular pain and trauma that we have carried for thousands of years as humanity. And we're all clearing this individually and collectively together. And so, if we really stay centered and focused on what we're doing, then we will be very diligent and focused, and we'll move through this quickly. And we don't have to have the suffering last very long. And certain souls, if we can understand the divinity of everything, there are souls that create soul contracts that come in with an intention to create a certain situation, to create an awakening or a shift for their families, for their loved ones, for their societies, and for the planet. And so these souls that chose to go out in this way, in Paris and in different countries, in Kenya and Syria, there's all kinds of souls right now that are very out loud using their soul contracts to wake up humanity. So what my heart hopes is that we can each really listen, and that we can really wake up, instead of go back to sleep and start throwing more hate energy, because that is not what I feel in my knowing that is the highest mission. And so on that note, I will pause for a second. I'm just going to give you all the number if you want to call in today, 919-518-9773, or you can call into Computers 2K Voice if you have a question or comment, something you want to share. But just don't say any like mean shit to me, or I'll just tell Amnon to hang up on you. So I don't think anyone will.
Amnon will hang up before you have a chance to say anything.
Thank you, because we've just had some strange energies on my Facebook, so I had to like clear some stuff off of there. But I'll take a pause. Is there anybody that has a question concerned to this, or a question with ascension in particular? Any questions on how to handle this, or anything like that? Just write them in and let me know. You guys can just type in your name or your nickname or whatever in the live chat, and then Amnon will let me know. I'm gonna have a sip of water. Anything so far, Amnon?
No comments or questions. There are some people there, but nothing.
They're just not talking. It's okay. So if you guys want to, that is the invitation. Come when you're ready. So I'm going to read this part of this thing from Lisa, and it's titled, it's Awakening to Remember, and it's called We Are Hybrids Evolving Genetically and Physically Beyond Human as We Embody Light, is what it's titled. Typical humans may not understand or believe our current evolution that we are living and existing as of now. The awakened being, continually becoming aware that there are changes going on inside, on a biomolecular and subatomic level, begins to understand, seeing first in the sleep closed-eye state, or through what is perceived as other dimensions. This is your knowledge emerging and presenting so that you can stretch your mind to comprehend through your heart. Grasping concepts is what the human mind does. We are here to be the proof and to be visible now. We are hybrids evolving genetically beyond human, our physical bodies merging and integrating photonic light and warp speed. As this occurs, our physical bodies coming alive, online, and our physical structures going beyond that which ever seemed possible. We are genetic hybrids, our human organs, tissue, and bones transconfiguring, transforming through the embodiment of cosmic light. This light activates that which was dormant within our encoded bodies, the dormant DNA, and held our advanced coding that is activated continually now, taking short breaks to cycle through old dimensions, timelines, and frequency bandwidths to clear out any old programs still held within. And so if we, just looking at that, if we can see it from a soul level, these people that are going through violence and hate and terrorism and conflict, they're all clearing out their own frequencies and their own traumas that is a part of their own soul contract and their own evolution. And this is where, so like, maybe at one point we just looked at the world and we're like, how do we like help everybody in Africa? And when I was younger as a child, I couldn't really watch the news because I felt so much compassion for everyone, but I felt powerless to help anyone. I'm just like, there's so many people and there's so much pain and suffering. And when I started to understand, and as I matured, I got to understand, as the empath I was, that when I remember to stay in alignment with the laws of attraction, my power and my frequency is very potent and very powerful, but I have to be very mindful of my focal point. And so, if you remember how many times on this show we have talked about laws of attraction and vibrational frequency, and that everything is energy, it is still the truth. And we have to remain in that space of understanding that everything's a frequency. Everything that we're focused on, we give energy to, and we start to magnify and magnetically draw into our reality. So if we are happily moving along in our day and then some devastating story happens and it triggers our attention, we start to look at it and we start to give it a lot of our attention. We start to go research more about it. We start getting fired up and fueled up and excited about it. We start drawing more and more energy to us personally connected to that energy. Now, a lot of you deep down want good stuff. You want love, you want happiness, you want joy. But when we're not very mindful with where we hold our focal point, without meaning to, we start to co-create the insanity. We start to co-create the fear, the problems. Kind of like the movie I was sharing with you guys a while back, Tomorrowland, where she says there's two wolves and we choose which wolf we feed. We feed the wolf of doom and gloom, fear, anger, or we feed the wolf of hope, love, light, prosperity, abundance, all that good stuff. And so a soul on the planet being in the world but not of the world can really observe a lot of movies going on, but we choose consciously which movies we choose to give our energy to and our attention to. And so right now, it may seem really important to give your energy and your attention to a lot of the pain and suffering in Paris, but I would encourage you to check in with yourself and really see, what is that doing to you in this now moment? When you're focused on that fear and pain, do you feel at ease? Do you feel peace? Do you feel hope? Or do you start to feel fear, tension, anxiety, stress? And if those are the feelings you're experiencing, I would encourage you to remember the amazing, intelligent being you are, and to just get back in your alignment with your source and re-choose and realign where you're going to where you're going to choose to hold your gaze and hold your focal point, because it all comes down to that. So it's not saying that we're denying what's happening on a planet full of thousands of millions, actually millions of holographic realities are happening on the same planet. We're not denying any of them. We can observe them. Yes, they're happening, but we choose through our own held frequency what we choose to be. And what we focus upon is what we become. So if we're focused on fear and hate and sadness and lack, we start to manifest as co-creators more fear, more lack, more hopelessness. But if we stay, centered in our alignment of love and hope and joy and beauty and bliss and abundance for all, even when we see various movies showing us that they're not there yet, that's okay. They're just showing you they're not there yet. But don't be distracted by it and lose your faith and lose your alignment. The most important thing we as light workers are here to do is to hold and anchor this frequency of light. We're here to let it move through us. We're here to then not only let it move through us and anchor it in, but we're to embody it and to come into our knowingness and speak as powerfully as I am showing and mirroring to you today, speaking truth. Not any fear here. No fear, no worries, no concern, no anxiety. Letting love and letting truth move through us with power, and realizing that that is the most powerful energy in the universe. And so I encourage you all to just be very mindful of where you're focusing your energy, because where you're focusing your energy is absolutely where you're going to start creating. So where our energy goes, where our focus goes, there we start creating energy from that focal point, and we hold that frequency long enough, it starts building more and more. So if we all can focus right now, William actually told me earlier, he called me and said that there was a man in Paris that put his piano on the steps of where a lot of these people's lives were taken. And he started to play the song Imagine by John Lennon. And it made me cry when he was telling me that. I was like, that is so perfect and beautiful, because what he's doing is he's sitting there in all this fear and all this, pain, and he's playing a song that's about hope, and it's about our new earth, and that we each have the opportunity right now to really grab onto this frequency of love and just ride that wave and anchor it into this planet. And it's going to, the planet is shaking off, and humanity, we're all choosing what we're going to create and where we're going to go. But if more of us are holding that frequency of love and we're imagining a new earth together, that darkness already lost. But if we are sitting at home individually and collectively in fear and in anxiety and paranoia, then that darkness is already won. And so I just encourage you each to really let that process, that if ultimately your desire is to get rid of terrorism, then get rid of it in yourself. Shift it out of yourself and stay in your alignment of love. And if your ultimate desire is to create a new earth where we are all one and we're all living in harmony and bliss and abundance, then keep your held focus there. Be steady and diligent with your focus, and know that with enough held frequency, if we hold that long enough, individually and collectively, it is the most powerful energy in the universe. And we will absolutely manifest this new earth that we've all come here to co-create together. So I just want to remind you all what we're doing, because it's not as scary as maybe it seems, but we have to remember to hold our focus. So I'll pause before I read more. Any questions or comments, Amnon?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So light courses through our bodies and our cells mutate. Our atomic structure change with every gamma blast, every infusion of light. Our muscles and tissues have to break down and completely rebuild themselves in a whole new way. Density obliterated from our bones and teeth, for this is where our separation and humanness was held. Our bodies, cells, and structures breathe, expand, contract, and communicate in ways the human mind cannot quite comprehend. Every molecule of us broken down over the separation of time to rebuild itself, now faster in every moment. These dormant encodements continually activating, restructuring, reshaping. Nothing is fixed here. All changes shape in every moment here. Our physical structure ever changing from solid, liquid, gas, plasma, different biochemical combinations of these now. So very much is going on. We are evolving in a multitude of ways. Organically, we are coming alive. Our bodies were asleep, dead. It was backwards. The afterlife here is a physical experience, and our bodies no longer program zombies, release the old programs and activate new ones. The physical body waking up is an intense one. Everything of the old human existence within us dies, and the density is released, purged, cleansed, chiseled, cored from our very physical structure as our crystals activate from inside of us and our shape takes new transitional shape form. Our physical matter bodies are not as they were before. Our existence is very different here. And so I'm going to pause on that. I myself have been going through this. And when I read this, Lisa had posted it, and I was just like, oh my God. And I was like sharing it with anybody I could get to just like want to listen to me for a few minutes. And like I had my soul sister come over. I'm like, okay, I've got to read this to you. And I was speaking it to my beloved, and we're like processing it. And I just, everything that this is saying is what's going on in me personally. And so it brought so much confirmation for all these ascension symptoms that I've been having. Like I'm walking through Target, and all of a sudden I feel like wavy energy. I can't see people right. They get all wavy, and it's like I'm looking through a mirage. And then I feel like I'm floating out of my body. Like my body doesn't feel solid. And I'll feel like my heart just speeds up really fast. My stomach feels really weird, and I feel like electricity moving through my body. Usually it hits my crown and then it's moving through my body. And so typically what I've been doing is I'll just move away. I'll like go to the bathroom or something, and I'm just sit down and like, whoo, angels, is everything okay? And I'm like tuning in. And what they've been telling me is, you're fine, sweet one. We're helping you stabilize. You're just receiving a new inflow of light frequencies. They'll tell me, oh, the solar flares are actually hitting your planet at this time, and you're feeling the effects of that. Just sit here for a moment. We're helping you stabilize. And I swear it's like I'm tuned into the mothership, and they're just giving me radio signal. And this is something I'm telling each of you because I feel like, excuse me, if I'm experiencing this and Lisa's experiencing this, and I'm sure many are experiencing this, we are going through this and we're helping to anchor these light frequencies for humanity. But if any of you listening have been feeling weird and just feeling sick and feeling tired and just off, I really want to encourage you not to go into the old human programmed response of I'm sick. Oh God, do I have a disease? And you got to go to the doctor and find a symptom. But and tune in, because if you really intuitively feel you have something sick that you need to take care of, go there. But I have not needed to go to the doctor, and even though this scares me at times, I will tune in and I'll ask my guides, and they're like, "It's all fine. You're changing from the inside out. You're becoming more crystalline. You're becoming more light." And so they'll tell me all this, and then I will kind of go into deep meditation at times and just let the process happen and then send frequencies out to the planet. So I often feel called to help assist with a lot of global activations and just clearing energies and then holding love and holding space for those that are moving through it. But once I do that and I process it, I feel great again. And it's kind of like going offline and then I come back online and I just know stuff and I feel more awake, more aware, more powerful, more strong, understanding at a deeper level. There's been a lot of shifts around my heart center. So, some of you, if you've been feeling a lot of like tension or pain in the heart, the chest, the back of your heart chakra, I encourage you, your shoulder area, tension there, to really go into meditation and thank your angels for assisting you in just softening in the heart space, allowing you to let the walls drop. We've all been conditioned to create these walls to protect, and it's time to drop the walls. It's time to let them melt, because in order for us to really let these frequencies of love and light move through us beautifully, we have to clear all the resistance, all the blockages. So, an interesting that's been happening in myself personally is as I was going through this process and a lot of these shifts are happening in me. Yesterday I was teaching yoga and I just woke up and I just was processing a dream with my ex-husband who I have not, had the greatest interactions with in a while. And in the dream, I was just like telling him like I still love you. And it wasn't like I'm in love with you. It was that I love you. And when I woke up and was processing that and telling William about how, what the dream was about and everything, I was like, I feel like I'm different. Like every day, I feel like I'm different and I'm not the Tawnya I was yesterday. And like the concept of time is really strange to me now. Um, so I feel like as you all are shifting into these new holographic realities, we're really realizing that we're multidimensional time travelers. And what I know I'm doing is I'm here, and then I'm also other places, multidimensionally time traveling, and then I'll be back here and I'll know things about the space I'm in, and I'll process it very quickly, and then I'll understand the frequencies I'm picking up on. And so, in a sense, it's almost like becoming very much like a computer in our energy. We can just process and scan an energy and then know stuff about it very fast. But we also feel the hit of it. And then we have to kind of take back, contract that energy, and then expand it back and share the messages with humanity. So, I encourage you just to be really in a space of trust and love right now and just let yourselves be different. Let yourselves let go of everything you feel like you are, everything you feel like you need to control and that you think you are. Be willing to let that go and just really melt into the divine and trust that everything is happening for your highest good. An image that my guides keep showing me when I'm going through this is I will see like inner, like, energy, and it's like shaky and it gets fearful inside of me. And then I'm just like, whoo, I'm letting it move through because it's not just me. It's like I'm picking up on so much in the collective. And they'll show me the visual of the movie Breaking Dawn, where Bella, she becomes a vampire, and it shows her laying there, and they don't know if she's dead or alive or what, but it shows her insides, her cells are changing, her bones are restructuring, her DNA is changing. That is exactly what's happening to us. And so my guides keep showing me that image because they're trying to help me understand that though I might be sitting here very calmly breathing and I'm driving in traffic or I'm sitting down in my beloved's family's house for dinner and I feel like I'm floating out of their house, I can realize that it's because there's things changing in me and not to go into fear. So if any of you are experiencing things like this, if you want to work with me as a mentor, contact me because I can help you a lot personally. But just trust that everything happening to you is happening for your highest good. And the best way to handle it is to go into a space of love and not go into fear. So, like, in the beginning when this happened to me, I would get kind of afraid, like, am I dying? And it would like agitate the situation. I'd feel more resistance. But when I could calm my energy and just be like, okay, I'm love, I am open, I surrender, I allow, and just stay in a place of love, I'm excited. I'm excited for the changes. I'm excited for the new earth. I'm excited for all that is coming in. I release and let go and trust. It moves very sweetly and gracefully through us then. So I just want to nudge everyone on that. And I'll pause again before I read more. Is there any other questions or any questions at all?
No,
I
they're
know
just
they've got
sitting there,
questions. Come
and
on.
I guess they're just sitting there and absorbing what you're saying.
They're just like, is she a freaking alien? And
I
yes,
see
I am.
some new faces there.
Nice. Well, you guys, seriously, write to me. If any of you, I have a question for you. Who of you listening is having stuff like this happen and feels like you're having ascension symptoms? Or maybe you didn't know that until just the show. Maybe you thought you've been sick and you just felt weird. Who of you is going through that? I'd like to hear. And then anybody that has anything they've found helpful, share that with the feed. Anything you want to share. This is a conversation, and it's way more fun when you can conversate with me. So bring it. Okay. So I'm going to read a little bit more. Holographic transmitters, our crystalline structure transmits the hologram based upon the geometric codes and sequences. Our body template continually upgraded in light, and at the perfect time for us, when the light quotient has been met, is restored to our original cosmic template, and the physical upgrades go full blown. The physical human body continually adapting and upgrading, this is a very physical experience. Becoming living bioorganisms with super conscious expanded energy fields that are bioplasmically charged from inside our bodies, from each living and breathing cell. Everything is constantly moving, charging, emitting, transforming, and mutating. Our brains challenged here, for we cannot exist as we once did. We exchange human intellect for ancient knowledge as we become the unified field. So when we're becoming the unified field, this is the unity consciousness, and this is what I'm assisting with the angelic auric clearings, is helping humans, animals, whoever's ready, to clear all that duality from within, all the inner resistance and conflict that is in the mind, clearing old cellular memory, and then assisting in activating that unified field, the unity consciousness, or you could call it Christ consciousness. This is the unity field where we come into more like a hive consciousness, and we realize we're one. And we get to that crown chakra in our experience, and the crown blasts open. We open up to source, we receive, we share, we give. Everything, all is love. And there is no resistance here, there is no separation here, and there's no fear here. And so this is really the ultimate destiny for all of humanity. And you can resist that and it will feel like an ass kicking, or you can let go and surrender and ride the wave, ride the frequencies of the light, and allow them to, activate within you and embody the shift within, and you will feel new and different every single moment, because like she's expressing, it's all changing very quickly. And this is not a brain thing. This is not about our logic grabbing hold of something and putting it in a box, because once we've gotten to this place of expanded consciousness of the unified field, we realize we're one with source, and there are no limitations, there are no boxes. And so this is going to challenge the hell out of those that are very, in their logical thinking, and they need to have a way to analyze everything. Let go of that need to do that. Just surrender to that. Know that, yes, that's been there. And I now release that so that I can actually allow the integration of my divine masculine and feminine to rise in the highest frequency, so that I can experience and co-create as a free sovereign being of light my highest holographic reality. Yes, that shit just came out of me, Amnon. That was amazing. What
Well,
did I just
that's
say?
very good. Yeah, and there is a question, or more like
Yay!
a comment.
Okay, what is it?
Robin is saying, Tanya, you've
Yes.
just expressed in words what I've been experiencing lately. I've
Yay.
been aware of some major shifts occur afterwards. At first, I was fearful that there was something wrong with me. I
Yes.
saw multiple specialists, had tests after test, and everything came back normal. As I was going through this, I really started paying attention to my spirit.
Good.
It's as if my intuition has become stronger and I feel like a different person.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Robin, because yes. And look at her saying how she's getting tests and all this stuff because the old human paradigm way of thinking is something's wrong with me. I need to go to the doctor and I need to go have them tell me what's wrong with me. And where we're at with this shift, that's not where we want to go. And when we go there, they're not going to find anything because there's nothing wrong with you, but you are changing absolutely. And at a level soon, we will science and spirituality are coming together and they're unifying in the unified field as well, and there will be confirmation and proof of the shifts in the genetic makeup of the human form as we start to, like, as you know, we're changing, shifting, mutating, restructuring. There will be scientific evidence of this, but for now it's good if we're just staying in that space with our intuition and we're honoring what's going on within, and we're not going into fear, because just like Robin's saying, she felt that. So did I at first. I ended up paying a $500 ER bill for nothing. And I was like, why am I here? This is ridiculous. But I ended up, it's part of the journey. I was there for other reasons too, to help clear some things. But I realized, okay, I'm not dying because they brought back my blood work, everything, my heart. They're like, you're in excellent shape. You're a very healthy human. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but what the hell? It feels like I'm dying, And so in a sense, it's like our old self is dying. And when you think of like Twilight, which I know it's funny to use that image, but that's what I keep getting. She looks like she's just in pain, but she's just silently laying there. But all this crap is happening within. And that's what it feels kind of like. And what I would encourage you to ask your team, your galactic team, your angels, because we all have a team, we all have these beings of love and light that unconditionally love us and are supporting us through this ascension. And I would encourage each of you to consciously set the intention to ask for their assistance and to set the intention that all of these shifts are happening within me with ease and grace and joy. So you can create that through your held focus of it being easy, of it being gracious, or if we go into fear, excuse me, I have like hiccups. If you go into fear, it's in a sense law of attraction. Now you're going to create the shift in a more fearful way, and it doesn't need to be. So something I will share with you, because at first I actually did feel fear. Sounds like so did Robin, and it is like what Lisa said here. It is a very intense experience when the human is changing, and that is an understatement because it's really strange. And a little bit about what I've been seeing is like I've for years seen people shape shifting and I've seen their auras and things like that. But lately, it's constant. Like I'll be looking at someone and they're shape shifting, like they're showing me like thousands of their faces they've been, or I'll be, you know, looking outside of my eyes at a place of people are talking around me and I can't hear them, and suddenly I'm in another dimension, but I'm standing there in the kitchen with them, but I'm also in another dimensional realm and I'm being uploaded and receiving all this new information and knowingness about these humans that I'm with. And then next thing I'm back, and now I can hear them talking. But when I can't hear them talking and I can't really see them, they're all wavy like a hologram, like a mirage. Like when you're looking at the desert on the freeway and it's all like wavy, it looks like that. And I will see things pixelating, like I'm seeing through the Matrix, basically. If you guys watch the movie The Matrix again, it's gonna blow your mind because I watched that movie years ago. I just rewatched it recently and I'm like, oh my God, this is actually happening. And so I'd encourage you to watch the movie The Matrix again, because it's really what's happening is we are clearing an old matrix, an old program, uh, this whole program, so-called reality of human consciousness and humanity. There are many of us that have come here at this time with the absolute, I can't talk, mission to dissolve those old programs and we are activating and upgrading to newer, higher frequency holographic realities. And this is where things are going to get really fun and magical, because I really feel that once a soul has arisen to that crown chakra consciousness, the unified field, there is no limitation. And so these are where these souls will start to create and live in ways that go against the universal laws. Like they will break free of those laws that say you can only do this because there is no limitation. So like when we come back to this frequency together, I feel like what I already am experiencing with my beloved, we have telepathic communication constantly. Like we're constantly doing this telepathic communication thing. I'm doing it with my animals. um, we will be able to levitate. There will be gifts that will return to us where we won't be as solid, we'll be light, we can choose form. These are things I already know in my deepest truth that I've already been, but we're here to activate that for humanity. Here to basically help humanity evolve to this higher frequency reality and to shift all this fearful, heavy stuff that's really slowing them down, and it's really, destroying their joy. It's creating a lot of suffering that's unnecessary. So it's an exciting time, let's just say that. So any other
Yeah.
comments or anything?
Yes, Pegasus is asking,
Yes.
on the macro scale, as a collective, multiple European countries, etc., who have the desire to unite against the negative energy and ignorance of ISIS,
Mm-hmm.
would it be most effective to eradicate or simply contain that energy in neutrality?
So is this person saying like should we like get rid of it or keep it
Should
neutral?
we, well, the way that I understand it is talking about that ignorance and negative energy. Should we eradicate that bad energy, or
Mm-hmm.
should we simply contain it in neutrality?
Okay.
I don't know how we
So,
can contain it in neutrality myself, but
mhm. So what I'm getting is kind of like, should we as humans go and like bomb the shit out of them and get rid of them, or should we stay in a space of neutrality and send love and light and, allow them to choose their shifts? Is that what you're getting,
uh,
Amron?
I guess that's kind of Pegasus. Why don't you call
Yeah.
in?
Yeah,
Um,
or just give more feedback on exactly what you're saying. But that's kind of what I get is like, is it really kind of like as angelic beings of light, like warriors of light, there is time for justice. And I do feel that an angelic being, and there's warriors throughout history that have stood for justice and the balance. And so I feel like there's nothing really, we've got to be careful that we're not in any place of dogma or extremism, because there are times where a soul, like someone will take a stand for life, and that will take a life to protect life. And there are times that we need to be honorable and not take life for the life to be shifted. And so this is a very, very fragile thing that is very much going to be up to the ones involved in that. Um, but what I would say for us that are not in positions of like going over there and fighting, I personally am not for violence. I really am not. It doesn't mean that sometimes people have to take a stand for things, but I really feel that we are shifting into a higher frequency to where if I myself get distracted and feel like I have to go and become violent, that doesn't feel right for me. Now, maybe in past lives I've done that, because I have. I've seen many past lives where I've been quite the warrior and I stood up for stuff and I would go and fight. But I feel like where I'm at in this life is more holding a space and a frequency of love and helping to awaken any who are ready. And each of those people involved will have their own personal holographic reality and their own personal karma, their own personal life lessons and soul contracts that they're going to fulfill. And so for me, I know my response to that is to hold a frequency of love and light and to help educate humanity that choosing love is always the highest choice. Now, these terrorists and these people, I've had people in my own family that were terrorists. I've lived amongst that energy. I've lived with people who really wanted to destroy light and life. And I see that they suffer greatly in themselves. And so, really, if I just create more suffering for them, is that going to change anything? Or do they actually need to be rehabilitated? And so when I work with the angels, what my highest focus is that they will assist in clearing any energies and removing them from this earth plane in the way that is needed to be done so that they will have their chance for rehabilitation. So, like, whether it's a human with an entity attached to them, and I'm doing an auric clearing and we're clearing the entities and they're being sent to another dimensional space for rehabilitation, that is what I see. And so, me, Tanya, personally, I don't need to go fight anything, but I do assist with clearing. And there's many of you, I'm sure there's other souls on this planet besides myself that are assisting with clearing. And so if you are, I would encourage you to hold your focus on calling in your angels and your guides to assist in a cleansing and a clearing of consciousness for the collective and clearing the need for control and power and enslavement, to clear that fear in all of us that there's not enough, the fear in all of us that there's this competition, somebody's going to be better than the other or ahead. It's an egoic thing that goes on in every one of you listening. So if we're going to eradicate that, it's going to need to be eradicated from within, and it's going to need to be done with the whole collective consciousness, as a shift that will actually create more beautiful alignment for the whole. Does that make sense? Did that answer that question?
Well, I mean, I don't know. We'll wait and see what Pegasus said, but
Okay.
yeah, I think we need to end their suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tell me what you feel, Amnon, about all this.
eradicate. I mean, there is no rehabilitating these people because it is they see that their way of life is not the wrong. It's not like somebody who breaks into homes, kills people because he's afraid he's going to be killed. Um, it's not like your average criminal. These are people that are living with a certain ideology, and that is the way that God wants them to be. You can't
According to
come,
their idea of God.
yeah. I mean, you oh there, yeah, and there is no rehabilitating somebody who, hey, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Well, and this is the thing that I would say there's an opening and an
Pegasus
ability.
said you did answer the question. Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, it's 555. There is an ability to rehabilitate any soul that is open and receptive.
Oh, right.
So it all comes to
Yeah,
open and receptive,
yeah,
right? So if you have like a criminal in prison that's kind of learned their lesson, they're like, this sucks, I'm in prison, and they're kind of having a lot of time to think. And then they get away from the whole gang and tribe and they can kind of get inside of self. This is where a soul can shift. And some amazing beings that have
absolutely.
become great.
But there's a big difference here. That's what
Yes.
I was saying.
Yes.
Somebody in prison who committed crimes knows that they committed crimes, and
Yes.
they know they are in jail because of that. And yes, you can rehabilitate a person like that, but if a person is over there killing and beheading people and killing their own people
Mm-hmm.
just because they feel that God wants them to do this, that there is no rehabilitation there because that's them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would have to say there is the ability because there is always a
There's
possibility, but
always, yeah, there's
if they're
always the
open and reset,
possibility. No, no,
yes,
I
if
agree. There's always
yes,
a possibility, but
yeah. And it's all about if they're open and receptive. And so if the souls there are not, and this is where I'm sure like it's already happening, there's already countries coming together. And one thing I think is beautiful is a lot of the different countries now are coming together with a oh, what did William say? It was like they were gonna lay down their arms, like they want to call forth a, I can't remember what it's called, like where they're not gonna shoot people, like they want everyone to kind of put down the guns. And I feel like that is a beautiful direction if we can actually not feed that fear, but we can stop them at the same time. And this is where it's going to be tricky. And those leaders will have to figure that out because that's not something I'm going to
Yeah,
personally be a part
that's
of. But I know that each of us can hold the frequency of love and light for everyone that's involved and for every person that has to make these decisions, from presidents to world leaders, and hold that frequency of love though for the whole, and to stand up for what is right and just. And yes, there is a time for every soul. That I feel we're in such a fast moving shift in reality now that those who are creating this violence, like, they are going to bring swift karmic return to themselves. Does that make sense, Amnon?
yeah,
Like, they're not really going to get
and
away with it.
they shouldn't be able to get away with it, but
And they won't.
how many people are going to die in their
Hmm.
hands before, maybe, well, maybe tomorrow, well, maybe in another week, well, maybe the next hour.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, something has to be done about them.
Yes. And I personally am calling forth the Mother Gaia and all of humanity of love and light frequencies to go ahead and shake off that energy from our planet. Does that make sense? So, whatever form that needs to take, where that is, as Pegasus said, eradicated, I am open and receptive to that. However, Earth Mother and humanity needs to shift that, but we still need to maintain and remember to stay in our focal point of love and oneness and unity in the unified field. And this is where we're going to more act as a hive consciousness, where we're doing everything to serve the whole without agendas, without control, without corruption. And in essence, that is the biggest thing that needs to be eradicated from the planet right now. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because that's going on in all countries. Like, there's all different countries that have that same issue of corruption, enslavement. This is going on all over Africa. It's going on in Mexico, beheadings, and it's just, there's more and more. It kind of, when I look at it as like an image of the Lord of the Rings, it's kind of like those beings are like orcs, and then there's the elves and the dwarves and all the ones, and they're like kind of fighting against it, and they have to stand up to it, because ultimately those ones that are of darkness, that have no honor for life, they have no honor for anything of goodness, they aren't going to stop until they feel like they can take it all down and they want to take control of the planet. So it's like, my angels have told me that every day when you wake up and you ask, how may I serve, know that there are also those that wake up and ask, how may I enslave? And so there are different beings on this planet all wanting to take possession of this planet. And there are those that want to have unity and they want to have love and wholeness and abundance for all. And then there are also those that work for I would say, a lower vibrational agenda of enslavement and destruction. And so, yes, we're really coming to a head of what's going to be able to stay and remain on the holographic reality of this new earth, and what energies will be eradicated. So, hopefully that answered that. I was going to read a card before we go today, and I think this is a great way to end. It's one of my crystal cards called Celestite, and it looks like that, and it represents knowing. The Master Crystal Deva Celestial. My very touch is the tone of knowing. I am here for you. Embrace me and wear my silver blue cloak of light. My love, joy, and peace will carry you within to the place of your true birth, the place of your infinite nature. At this, the center of all that you are, there is a sacred space where all that will and has been due to you is transmuted to absolute knowing. It is in that space that we are one, outstretched and welcome. I will aid you to create through your divine heritage. Mastery and completion are yours. The allowing of the mind's transcendence over lower thought has opened to the ever-truthful path of knowing. Welcome home, child. I have always known you would hear the call. Now manifest all you are in the world, and universal mind will be born in the physical, freeing all who desire the perception of eternal light. And I'm going to read that last sentence again, because I feel like that is exactly what a soul like mine is on this planet doing. And many of you listening, whether you know you're at that place of doing that, or you just have the desire to remember that you're at that place, at some level, if you're even watching this show, you have enough awareness to be in that space where you are remembering, you're awakening to remember your divinity. Now manifest all you are in the world, and the universal mind will be born in the physical, freeing all who desire the perception of eternal light. And I feel like that is one thing that when we get into the angelic perspective of all this, my angels have told me not all will choose ascension at this time. And so, what I feel that means is there will be beings who are distracted by their lower vibrational agendas, their hate, their corruption. Their hearts will remain closed and jaded and guarded, and they will not pass through. And so, when we look at ascension as really a state of being, the ascension process is a personal choice. So, everyone on this planet is given free will. We all choose our ascension, our choice to rise through that narrow passageway of alignment, meaning we have to release all this, the heaviness, all the pain of past, all the drama, all the story, all the belief system has to be shed to pass through. And my angels have very clearly said to me, not all will ascend at this time. And so don't be distracted by those who are not choosing that, but just stay centered in yourselves. As the ultimate message of today's show is to stay centered in love and light within self always, and remember that your ascension is your highest priority. It is your alignment with your source. It is how you observe the world around you. You stay in a space of peace and love that surpasses all understanding. That is the mission. And that is where you will anchor heaven and earth will become unified and one. And we will do that together. And some of us will do this successfully, and some of us will choose not to come here. And we will live in very different holographic realities. Sound good? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So, is there any last comments or anything coming in before I sign off?
No.
Okay, so one thing I was going to share on here is this Thursday, if anybody is wanting to join us for the next Healing Through the Chakras workshop, it is this Thursday from 4 to 7, and I can Skype you in if you're remote. It's the heart chakra, the Anahata, and we are going to be focusing on the heart chakra traditionally as you know it, but also I'm going to be talking about the higher heart, the lion heart. This is all about what I'm talking about on the show today, as staying in that place of complete love and compassion, and that's higher heart stuff, unconditional love. A lot of us, we've been in human love, and human love is very conditional. It's about what do I get, what's right, what's wrong. Unconditional love surpasses all of that. It is unconditional. It loves regardless of what's happening. It always responds with love. So we're going to be working through that and doing art projects together, and it's so much fun in that class. So if you're interested, let me know. And the other thing is coming up, I officially created our Facebook event page today for our first Twin Flame Union workshop. And that is going to be on December 27th from 11 to 2 in our sacred space. If you want to Skype in or call in, you can, but let me know right away so I can get you set up because the space is limited. And it's $55 a person or $88 for a couple. And I used 88 because infinity, twin flame. I just thought that was perfect. And I'm really excited to do this workshop with William. We're excited to just teach and lead and inspire. And we know that it's going to be beautiful. There'll be energy, angelic, galactic energy activations and meditations and just a lot of soulful conversation. And we invite you guys to join us, and we're super excited. And if any of you guys listening live in a place where you would like something like that to come to you, and you have a spiritual bookstore, or you have a unity church you go to, or somewhere where you feel like this would be an interesting topic, contact me on my TanyaAngel555.com website, and we will make that happen because we are ready to travel and teach around the world, wherever it opens up. So if you can't come to us, let us know if there's a place where we can come to you and we can get that all set up and going. That'd be amazing. So on that note, I'm going to show you a book that I've been reading before I met William. It's called The Holographic Reality by Michael Talbot. And this book, I would encourage any of you who found today's show fascinating and you'd like to know more about what I'm talking about, I would encourage you to meditate and thank your angels, your guides for just helping you to see and helping you to remember, because that intention is super powerful. And this book is so amazing of explaining holographic realities, past lives, all this kind of stuff. So if you're interested in that, I would encourage you to get that book. And any of you that want to work one-on-one, past life regressions, things like that, I can do that in person, shadow work. Give me a ring and let's get busy. So I thank you guys so much for tuning in today. It was really beautiful to share that with you. And I am sending love frequencies every moment out to all of you. And I would love if each of you would join me in that intention and remember how powerful that really is. It is very powerful. So thank you so much for joining us, and I will see you next week. Namaste.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Health In with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, The Tawnya Love Show, Your Healthy Pet with Gisela DiCarlo. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by Atomus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.